pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, roll call. Director Coleman.
Here.
Director Morgan.
Here.
Director Valentine. Here. And Director Barney is here. That is all four of us. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Agenda is approved. So we are going to shuffle this up a little bit. Would you mind if we did the community announcements before we popped into closed session, just so we can get that?
That's entirely appropriate.
So let's go ahead and do the community announcements, and then we're going to shift up the order a little bit. So we have some guests from the FBI today for a closed session item, and we want to let them just say their piece and get on with their lives. So do we have any community announcements from anybody in the room? Nope. Anybody online? Do we have anybody online?
There's a couple.
Okay.
That could potentially end up.
Okay, but they're not speaking up.
No.
They're not speaking up. Okay, well, in that case, then I'd like to move us into closed session. And of course, once we come out of closed session, we'll give a closed session report, and then we will resume the rest of the agenda as presented.
Yes, Carrie's going to move the public that is on the phone into a waiting room so they cannot hear the meeting. And then because this is a security briefing, there is no closed session report after a security briefing. Gotcha. So we'll just come back and resume open session.
Okay. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. See everybody in a few minutes.
Yes. Sure.
Oh, let's get going.
Intelligence.
Fact, how many times have I been this suspicious person? Yeah, no. Yeah, real effective.
Who knows?
All right, we got people from the waiting room back in, and we're recording, and closed session is concluded, and there is no report to be had. All right, we already did community announcements, so now on to more typical portions of the agenda. So the consent agenda. Okay, we have 3 items on there. Did anybody have any discussion on those? Do I hear a motion to approve?
So move D, B, and C.
For A, B, and C?
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay. See, all those in favor of approving all 3 items on the consent agenda say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Now all those opposed? Okay, moving on to the action items. Adoption resolution regarding remote meetings.
So this is our monthly review of AB 361 and whether or not the board desires to continue operating under those modified Brown Act procedures. Again, we have to review this every 30 days, so this is just our standard review. The board, as always, is free to adopt the resolution invoking the AB 361 procedures, or you can choose not to adopt the resolution and operate under the regular Brown Act rules.
So we default to regular Brown Act, not the not this special item. If we don't take a vote, we need to take a vote in order to renew it. Is that correct?
That is correct. So you're under the regular Brown Act rules unless you adopt the resolution.
Okay, and we are currently under the resolution.
Or at the last meeting, determined David's been. I move to stay under the special rules.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting the resolution say, unless there is there any discussion to be had?
No, we're going to remain the same if we say aye, right?
The same.
Correct.
We have to read it each month, but
Yes.
yeah, there is some discussion. So
Yeah.
I'm going to, again, reiterate what I said last time, which is while we're down a person and there's some very contagious forms of COVID, I think we should just continue on the special rules until the election when we can fill that spot or the spot that's filled, So that's my recommendation. Because we've had situations where we couldn't get a quorum for a meeting.
3, 4, 5 cancels.
So it's really what that special rule is for, right, is to facilitate us being able to continue to do our business under COVID.
It's to facilitate us doing our business under COVID, specifically under COVID.
Well, being down a person, we're losing one more means you can't have a meeting. So we don't have any buffer. And there's a lot of contagious COVID going around right now, even more so than 2 years ago. It may not be deadly if people are immunized or whatever, but it may take you out from the meeting, and so that can prevent us from doing our work.
The vaccines don't take care of this latest COVID, though.
Yeah.
So it's another one.
Well, anyone else on the board or any members of the public wish to chime in? No, because it does of course prevent members of the public from being able to attend in person. That is one big downside for this.
Unfortunately.
Okay, well, if there's no other discussion, we're ready for a vote. All those in favor of adopting the resolution say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. So we are.
Did you vote no?
I voted no.
So it's 3 to 1.
Okay, so action item B, Incotech.
Madam Chair, thank you, members of the board. Incotech is requesting an amendment to their lease to increase their footprint by 21,195 feet to the north. The purpose of this is to incorporate some new equipment that will be used to meet the new rules and regulations of the East Current Air Pollution Control District. The result in an additional annual revenue of $6,358.56. Project is exempt environmental according to our policy, according to our precise development plan. Recommended action, staff recommends approval of the requested terms and authorization for CEO to finalize negotiations to execute the lease, subject to district legal counsel approval.
A motion to pass.
Okay, a question. I think I can ask it.
No, we're not.
Do they plan on building another building?
No, sir. They're going to build a platform, actually 2 platforms, and a conduit that will be going into the building itself.
Okay, I don't detail that. I just wonder if it's going to be a structure.
Correct, right?
Correct.
For
Yeah.
I'll second if there's no other discussion.
Yeah, okay, I'll second it too. I just,
Yeah, no, totally fair to ask questions. Just there's no other questions. Okay, well, we have a proposal and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There you go. Item C, Strata Launch, test site tour.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Strata Launch, they've entered into a 15-year lease with 1 5-year option for a test site. They are now requesting to expand their footprint by 12,450 square feet in order to establish a mission control facility for that test site. The fiscal impact is an additional $3,735 per year. The sequel review will be done prior to the CEO maybe finalizing the lease agreement.
So this is a control room, not additional fuel storage or?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Location.
it's in the map.
It's going to be west of the 1,250 feet directly west of their test site.
Okay.
And I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
According to the map in the packet, it looks like the structures, there's some land between the two, and they're running conduit along the road easement for some sort of control utilities or something.
Okay.
Is that land between the two, is that included in the lease, or is that land that we can lease if somebody wanted it, or is that land tied up because of their two leases and they can't lease it?
The land is tied up because of the two leases and they can't lease it.
Okay.
So you're talking about the land adjacent to this?
No, I'm talking from a safety standpoint. I don't think we could, right? Because it's a rocket test site.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm getting at. What is in other words, there's land, well, it's like land, and they're not renting this land, but we have to give them the buffer for the
1,250 feet.
yeah, okay.
For the public area.
Okay,
it's
no,
just
yes,
not
I was just, you know,
Yeah.
I give up free land, but sometimes we have to accommodate, you know, the regs. Okay.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any other discussion either from online, members of the public? Okay, all those in favor of granting the lease amendment say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Alright. Item C is done. Item B. Resolution to amend BP 300, add a new authorized position.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this particular action item is to address what Lauren was just talking about. We're designed to create the Director of Public Safety and Security that would be a single point of contact for security, ARF, and also representing our other tenants as it relates to the transmission of information between Mojave Air and Spaceport and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other federal agencies.
Okay, so it sounds like primary duty for Director of Safety and Security is going to be essentially response to emergency security threats
Yes.
and
That's
dissemination of information to interested parties.
Yes, ma'am.
Jen, you look like you're about to say something.
No, I just had to make sure it wasn't important.
Oh, gotcha. It's like, this sounds very important, Jim. What are you talking about?
No,
I didn't see the phone. Gotcha.
I just remember. That's good.
Any discussion? Thoughts? Anybody, any members of the public with thoughts?
So to summarize it, an additional person security then? Or,
It'll be someone from internal, it'll be an internal, someone from the internal ranks.
not a new position.
It's a new
It's an
position that will be
additional-
filled from internal
Okay.
ranks. Yeah.
Very good.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No opposed. Item E, CalPERS, unfunded liability.
That would be me. On the CalPERS unfunded liability payment, this come up annually. We do have to make a monthly payment to CalPERS for our unfunded liability for the retirement portion. If we were to pay monthly, or if we were to pay annually, it would be a savings of $16,969 for the year. So I'm just asking so I can make the annual payment so we could have that saving over the year.
How do we end up saving with,
Because they add interest on to, like, we owe $4,993,000. But because we're going to be paying it monthly, they add interest on and fees because we're going to be paying monthly.
this
So
would be over the duration of, not really a loan.
the 12 months, yeah, exactly. So if
And
we,
we've done that previously.
yes, we do it annually.
And I'll make a motion not to get ahead of everybody, but we do it.
So the 16,
Go for it, Chet.
okay, the 16,000, that's an addition if you make it.
Yeah, if we paid it,
Monthly.
if we paid it on a monthly basis, we
So
would pay $510,000 over the year.
what's kind of the grand total then that we're paying interest on?
The 493,203. Like I said, if we made the monthly payments over the course of the 12 months, the total would be $510,172.
It makes sense because we got the money to pay for that, so why
Right.
not save 16,000 by doing that?
What's the interest rate? I mean, if you were to calculate that.
Is it even 2%?
3%?
Yeah. Because it's not just interest.
Well,
They
I'm
have,
just thinking
they have,
3 times 5 is
I say they have
15.
like an administration fee in there too, because they have their own calculation that they charge on that. Because they have to process it monthly, so they would prefer us to do it annually, but for the cost of $16,000,
And
they'll
we
process
budget
it.
for this
Yes.
every year too, so it's not.
Yeah, this isn't a surprise. We have this
Yeah. It's
annually.
within the budget.
Yeah.
We'll save money on the budget.
It's a 3.2 interest rate
So.
at the 16,000.
A motion to approve
Second.
the change to annual payments.
Well, I made the motion.
You made it.
Oh, okay. So I'll
Whatever.
second
It is made and seconded. Anybody, any members of the public have anything they want to discuss on it?
No.
No. Okay. We're ready for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, there we are, paying our bills. Taxiway Charlie, change order number 3. What you got, Floyd?
Afternoon. This is essentially just it's a no cost, no time change order to Granite Construction so that they can pay Royal out of their unforeseen circumstances section of the contract. There was a section of the home runs between Charlie and the lighting vault that we were unable to evaluate during the initial electrical evaluation prior to Charlie because we had to actually demo structure out on Charlie. So it was postponed until the Charlie effort, and then with the it was done at that time so that we could put everything back together and not leave Charlie in disarray. So we're essentially just approving the change order that Granite can pay Royal from their unforeseen. If there's no cost to the district, and obviously no time because it's already completed.
Any questions? A lot of packet for no
It's a formality.
money or time changes. Gotcha.
Motion to approve the change order of taxiway C order number 3.
Give me a second. I'll second it. Anybody, any members of the public trying to chime in on this? Nope. All right. So we're ready for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nobody opposed. And that is it for the action items. And we're on to reports, financials.
These are the financials for month ending May 31st. Bank balance increased $198,000 this month, primarily due to fuel sales. Operating revenue, we're at 105% right now. That is we are on track, but we are over the 100% just due to the cost of fuel and then now the increase in price of fuel. The operating expenses were at 87%, which we should be at 92%. So we are operating below what we're budgeted for on expenses. Fuel sales, we sold 144,000 gallons. That was F-18s and a lot of testing happening in May. So lots of fuel sold in May. AR, we do, at the time I wrote the report or completed the report last week, Dragon Aviation and Dean Soest were on there and they hadn't made payments. But since then they have made payments against their account.
Which makes them point.
Dragon Aviation, it does take them off over the over 90, but with Dean Soest, it does not remove him off the over 90.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll be working with legal as far as where we need to go with that based on his account and the status.
I didn't think you had any leases on yet.
He has a tie down, so they're not actual leases.
License.
Yeah.
It's a license.
Is that the ones next to 63? There's a
Yes.
Darkens fuselage there and that.
Yeah, there's
And a
two
Cherokee
aircraft there
with a flat
right now.
tire and that.
The cleaner, it's in there. Yeah. He has told us that one of them is supposed to leave, and then one of them is supposed to put in a hangar. But we are talking to him on a weekly basis to try to get status.
You're saying he's 90 days behind paying.
Yeah.
And
He's made a payment towards it. He hasn't given me a payment plan. He paid $500
okay.
yesterday. So
He's continuing with those type of operations. And
yeah, we'll continue to reach out to try to get some of the payment, and then also, like I said, I'm working with legal on as far as what our next steps are if there need to be.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yep. And the other one is American Verde. They're a newer tenant. They are over 90 days, but we are in communication. He is reaching out to us. He's trying to resolve, and I don't know when the last time Leonard spoke to him this week, but he is trying to sort it out right now. So we feel confident he'll pay us. It's just right now he's over 90. So we're not going to go with the pair clip just yet. But if he does not pay us by the next meeting, then we move forward with the pair clip.
And how much would that be?
That one is...
Packet.
Let's see.
I didn't get a packet like your
Oh,
You don't get the email?
I don't have my
It's
computer here.
Yeah, it's $3,077 is what American Verde owes. And Fitness Center is continuing to grow. They have 574 members as of the end of May.
That's getting close to break even,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
they're moving along.
Glad to hear it.
How's our, not to change the
No,
subject,
go for it.
how's our sign count?
With the digital sign,
Yeah.
Well, it's only July 19th, so we haven't gotten too far on it, but Jason did get quotes and stuff on it,
I just think it'll have an impact on
Yeah.
people.
That's what we did start with the banners around the airport just during the day, because some people, even though they work every day, they don't even realize that the fitness center's here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they've done some
I
small.
share it, and that's usually like, oh, maybe I achieve.
Yeah. So it is continuing to grow.
Yes, dude, I've been in 0 plus.
Yeah.
Plus somewhere.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good.
Any questions? Any other budget questions? No. Any members of the public have any budget questions?
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Carrie. And Damian, if you wouldn't mind, fire.
Good afternoon. For the month of June, if you look down, you'll see responses. All our responses were the 5 hot refuels. For the public education, we had some young people come down from Bakersfield. Great questions to ask us, their engineers. It was really good for the firefighters to field the questions that they had and explain to them about things with our equipment and our vehicles. Those kind of visits actually help the fire department because it helps us with our presentations, speaking with the public. If you look down for the response, I'm sorry, for the exercise at the very bottom, that was in support of the Virgin Orbit's 747. They performed their evacuation exercise, and that allowed us to perform our response exercise, a time response, responding down to the aircraft. They gave us a very good aircraft checkout, very detailed, really good people over at Virgin Orbit, and it really enhanced the fire department understanding of their operations.
So how'd the timed response go?
The time response, I think it went very well. There are some things that we'll point out that we'll work on, but that's why we have them, so we can find out if things are going to go bad or if we have any kind of issues. It was real good, I believe, time response. I was observed by Tim, and he gave us a good critique on how we did. But very good people down there at Virgin Orbit. They really gave us a lot of information with the aircraft. Any questions? That's it.
No questions from members of the public. Okay, thank you. Floyd, facilities. Own stuff.
Yeah. Back again.
Forever.
Just a couple of quick things that I wanted to cover. Back on June 22nd, we had a somewhat unseasonable storm. That I don't know the exact total on the downfall of water that we got. My estimate would be several inches within an hour or two. There were 2 confirmed lightning strikes within 5 miles of the airfield, and as a result of that, we lost roughly 50% of the runway lights on 1230. We lost all but 2 PAPIs on the entire airfield, several of the runway distance remaining signs on 30, and a number of marker signs. And everyone that's been involved agrees that not only was weather a contributing factor, but lightning was probably the root cause to losing all of the sign markers and electronics.
Just to be clear, losing power to them.
We lost power to the airfield lighting. Correct.
Well, as in they're non-functional even when electricity was redelivered to them.
Correct.
Yes.
We had power from the vault to the intersection of Charlie and 1230, but essentially from that point north, everything was off.
So how much was damaged though, which I think is...
Yeah, when you say the lights, the way you phrased it, you could imply that, every bulb was exploded and the sockets were all fused.
Certainly.
Okay.
That was discovered on a number of them. I don't have a complete count, but there were multiple runway edge lights that we did encounter that the sockets were exploded. In my report, there's a couple of photos. Some of the transformers literally were exploded.
Okay.
Many of the control boards on the PAPIs, almost without exception, the control boards were toasted. There's no better way to put it.
Right.
One of the PAPIs on 30, it actually melted the lamps. Lost all the light, all the wiring within the PAPI, and within the box itself, and every one of the components. So we worked through the night and through the weekend to replace everything that we had on hand.
Yeah.
The lighting outage was contributed to about 1,000 foot of cabling that was bad. So we replaced 1,000 foot of cabling from Charlie north to the north side of 2.6. That restored the lighting, and then we had to replace a number of control boards, transformers, and other components. We were able to restore lighting, majority of the lighting, by Saturday evening. This happened the 22nd, which was a Wednesday. So by about 10 o'clock on Saturday, we were able to get the lights back on. By the following week, we had everything restored with the exception of a few of the mandatory hold signs. So we still, as of right now, the mandatory hold signs on 3.0 at the intersections of 2.2 and 2.6. We are awaiting parts to restore those. We have all the PAPIs back on with the exception of the approach end to 3.0. That's in the photo. Unfortunately, between that Wednesday and Saturday, we used every critical spare that we had in stock.
Is LumiCurve the PAPIs or the mandatory instruction?
LumiCurve is the manufacturer of the marker signs.
Okay.
So we had them manufacture, there's 5 signs total out. They manufactured 5 rebuild kits for us and they actually shipped today.
Question.
Yes,
Do they
sir.
have, like, weather insurance to cover this, or how is it being funded?
That's
Yeah.
something I think Carrie would have to speak to.
Because, I mean, for instance, if we flooded in here, the insurance for the flooding, but that's weather that's
Right.
kind of related. So,
At this point, I did file a claim.
okay.
And it's
right.
in the process of right now submitting all of our invoices. We have an adjuster, so I
Okay.
haven't heard, they wanted to wait till everything got back up and running and we had the final cost.
Right.
So I'll have more of an
Yeah.
update on that. But we did file a claim
Yeah.
and submitting invoices to see if we can get reimbursement from
I
it.
would think that would be covered by any sort of weather, like flooding or fires or anything that's similar. Okay.
So that's essentially where we are
Okay.
as of right now. Everything that we were able to repair has been repaired with the exception of the items that we're still waiting to receive. And as those come in, as things have been coming in, we get immediately on it and restore them. We're down to, as I said, the 5 marker signs with 2 wind cones out and the PAPI. We are working with Mead and Hunt to do the calculations and the trigonometry to replace those PAPIs. And then there's a reimbursable agreement that we have to file with FAA which Tim will speak more in detail about, I think. We'll have to do a flight check once those are replaced. And that's kind of a long lead item. So we're working with FAA right now to get that accomplished.
And the parts for the PAPIs, I understand, are 12 weeks. Something like that.
A replacement PAPI is 12 weeks.
Okay.
So that, and that doesn't include the lead time to complete the flight check or any of the time to get it installed.
Right. The FAA calibration is a separate.
It's about a 6-month process. So we've commenced that now. We're working on it, but it's a long lead item.
It's going to be a minute for the 3.0 PAPI.
For the 3.0, all the other PAPIs are functioning as of right now.
Well, any other questions for Floyd? Anybody online? Any questions for Floyd? It's airfield lighting's a pretty big deal. Thanks for staying on top of
I
that.
assure you that it's the highest priority, and as those items come in that we've ordered, we get immediately out and replace them. So
Thank your team for coming in on pulling the long hours of the weekend, if you would.
I will, and
We're very
that does
appreciative.
mean a lot to them. There were guys that when we were here, staff was here till 2 a.m. on Saturday, till midnight on Sunday, until midnight on Monday.
Yeah, I saw you guys up there
So
working late.
yeah, and in general, when things like this happen with our staff, with the maintenance staff, there's no complaints. They want to step up and get it done. So
Yeah.
We appreciate the comment.
Madam Chair, did you have a comment? Tell us you were going to comment. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want
So the last 2 items that I had was just a quick update on the restroom in the GA area. I know it's taken a lot longer than I had hoped. Whenever things like the lighting come up, it delays us. But we will be wrapping up at the end. Actually, I have the flooring coming in tomorrow. All the plumbing fixtures will be installed on Friday. So by the end of next week, we should be able to, by the first week of August, we'll work on it next week, and then we'll be able to have it open first week of August.
All right. Hopefully, no more lightning between now and.
I hope so.
Quick question, flooring tomorrow or Thursday?
Flooring is tomorrow. It was actually, so I apologize. I did tell you Thursday, but I got a call
Okay, that's
between
fine. That's
the
fine.
last time we
Okay.
spoke and
That's
this
fine.
meeting.
Just want to
And
make sure
it'll be done tomorrow.
Good.
And Okay. Other than that, we did apply a fungicide to the oleanders, and I would just like to point out, I think it had some really good favorable results.
So good coming out also.
Yeah, they're
Just straighten that road out.
yeah. What I'm struggling with now is getting the support to get them trimmed.
Yeah.
You can't. I'm a little concerned around Belshaw that you can't see over them. It does create a little bit of a blind area. So
Yeah.
we're working on that. But,
Is it like a powdery white thing, the fungus this thing has?
no, it actually it's the scorched areas. It looks very similar to what we thought was a leaf scorch. It's just that like the end of the leaf starts to die.
That's what the fungus does. But does the fungicide have a particular appearance, or is that?
It's a liquid. It's a very light blue liquid. So
Is it fed into the roots or is it sprayed?
we spray it.
Any other questions?
It's like,
Very good.
All right, Tim, your report.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to pass these around for the board members for demo. This wasn't on my report because it was just published over the weekend. Good news, Mojave Air and Spaceport is now officially by the FAA and all the publications they have, Mojave Air and Spaceport at Rutan Field. So that's very positive, and I think you guys couldn't wait to see it. Also, the middle picture there is it was just a clip from the new GPS approach for runway 30 that was published and went into effect as well. I think on the 17th or 18th. It was Saturday or Sunday. So just to keep you guys up to date on some of the things that are going on. We are still advertising for replacement air traffic control specialists. We're looking at a couple of different options here, potentially also trying to recruit part-time ATC specialists because I don't know if you guys were aware, but when we first posted that we had some vacancies, the FAA made a big announcement that they're going to start hiring people off the streets, basically. So we're competing with the FAA now to get air traffic controllers here. Fortunately, and our new air traffic control manager, Gary, has been great about this, reaching out, and we're reaching, and I think, Diane, you said that you mentioned somebody that might be interested as well, trying to reach out to some people that already are full-time air traffic controllers elsewhere to get some part-timers in to help supplement the staffing for the tower. Minimal impact right now. It's just that if one controller is sick and then the other one gets sick or is on vacation, we could run into some problems. But according to Gary, he's not super concerned about that as of right now, but we don't want to linger on moving of that. Yes, sir.
isn't our challenge pay? We have a hard time competing with the FAA with benefits and pay. We've always, seems like I've always had a kind of a fairly high turnover rate.
But from what I've observed, I'd say, yeah, we can't pay competitively to the FAA, but also we're Mojave. I mean, there's not surplus of controllers in the area, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's a cool place to work.
it's a cool place to work. I think so. But it's just trying to find people that are interested in a niche, you know, and having controllers that have the qualifications and experience at airports that are similar to what we deal with, because we deal with an interesting mix of aircraft. So that's been a challenge as well. And we obviously don't want to inherit somebody that wouldn't be a good fit for the role. So last month we did have our FAA commercial space license inspection on the 15th. We had no deficiencies. What that means is that basically they came in and did not find that they said what we're doing is great. Okay, first airport I've ever worked at had zero deficiencies on an inspection. Virgin orbit launch, again, some of this information is dated, but we did have a successful launch last month with Virgin, first night launch. I think everybody knows that it's been very public. We did go over some of the airfield line damage to the lightning strike. What I wanted to touch base on was that the PAPI's 430, what we're looking at doing is doing a full replacement of those PAPI's with LED lights. It was we budgeted to replace 1.2. We might be holding off on 1.2 for a little while because 3.0 obviously it's necessary to replace that runway. It's more commonly used, but more importantly, The thing that we need to keep back in our minds is when we file, because we have a new instrument approach for that runway, we now are obligated to have a flight check performed by the FAA. That can be up to 6 months. The sooner we get our information in, the better, though, because if on the off chance somebody cancels, they can swing over this way, they will. But we want to make sure we have it timed precisely so that we have those PAPIs installed and then do the flight check. We have implemented a new online operations schedule for the special operations requests. Did get positive feedback from a couple of our operators now. We did send out an email to how they can look up the information, but it's real easy to get to. It's right on our introduction page of our website. And on the 25th of July, the week of the 25th of July, we're going to start painting Taxiway Alpha. We're going to have a contractor come in and help us out with that because Taxiway Alpha, in my opinion, the paint markings are just almost non-existent. They fade beyond where they should be. If we do have enough money available, we'll try to also hit up Bravo Taxiway as well. In the future, we will have an annual schedule where we'll try to aim to paint runway and parallel taxiway at the same time so that we are constantly maintaining our markings. We don't get to the point where we're like, oh, geez, look, I can't see them anymore, you know? So
about how long is that cycle with paint? How long is it good for until it looks faded and is no good?
It depends on the location and it depends on the weather. Portland, Maine, we paint it annually because you have snow removal equipment constantly removing beads and taking up chunks of the paint. Here, I would venture to say 2 years, maybe 3, if you're really pushing on 3, because the sun and there's they just fade. Amazingly enough, though, the beads are still good, but the paint just fades away pretty quickly.
So real quick, before Floyd runs away, though, I want to say kudos to getting the PAPI working for that VG flight because the PAPIs went out, their field lighting went out right before their first night flight. It's a 737. They can't screw around. So thank you for putting the emphasis on that so that they can have a successful flight.
You're welcome. I was just going to add on to what Tim said. As evidence, we repainted 1230 in 2018. And if we weren't doing the 1230 project, it would be time to do it again.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions on Tim's report?
Thanks.
Or any from members of the audience? Okay, Todd, I think you're next.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we're having a barbecue for the general aviation community on July 28th. That's a week from this Thursday.
Oh, and in the middle of Oshkosh.
Sorry, I want to get it in.
Get a live video feed in there.
That's all right. For those who can't make the Oshkosh, it's a good alternative.
That's right.
Good alternative.
The Hangar 68 issue that we've had that was flooded a couple months ago. We're still trying to get something formal, something in writing from RLH or KMG. Who one is the monitoring company, the other company is the company who put in the fire suppression system. All indications are that we had no fault in this. That's what we've been told. We're still desiring to have something formal from them in writing that states this as well. Floyd talked about the bathrooms. We're currently also looking at, we're pursuing some federal funding for the development, 100% money, I will tell you, for the development of a payload preparation and integration facility that will be used by not only us, but customers from the folks at Edwards as well at China Lake and down at Plant 42. That is looking very positive. It's currently in the federal budget. There'll be more to follow on that as that gets approved. The North Los Angeles Defense Forum is going to be held on August the 12th. It's going to be hosted by Congressman Garcia. We've been invited to participate in that, so we'll be going down to speak with them, answer any questions they may have, let them know what our needs are, and hopefully develop some additional relationships as well. We recently had the bid opening for the GA pavement project. Project originally was estimated to cost approximately $2 to $3 million as a result of the upturn or downturn in the economy, however you want to look at it, recession. That number's now at $5 million. It was the lowest responsive bid. As a result of that, what we're going to do, or what the strategy that we're employing is, we're going to continue to repair the pavement down there the way we have been, as far as cutting out sections of pavement, replacing it with asphalt. At the same time, part of that project was also for the development or start the process of relocating the utilities and doing the site preparation for the new hangars that will go down there. So we're going to go ahead and initiate that. That was not something the FAA would fund anyhow, and go ahead and take that part of it on ourselves.
Those are excellent repairs, by the way. The cracks, excellent repairs.
Thank you. Good.
Okay.
Continue.
Glad something's working finally.
Mm-hmm. And then, continue with the development, doing the site prep for the general aviation hangars. And we're currently working with two developers in particular that are wanting to develop general aviation hangars in that area, which is very positive. But regardless, we need to go ahead and go forward with the site preparation and do any environmental work that we have to do up front to get that taken care of and addressed and done with. The insurance issue, we reduced the insurance to $1 million, no aggregate. I understand that there were still some issues with some folks in the GA area. We have connected them with Kim from Absurance, as well as our former insurance agent. His name is Duncan, with Moses. His name is Moses. Those people, those folks.
I use them. Yeah, we can business rates.
We consider taking on the insurance ourselves. I spoke with Scott and other members of the legal community, and they all advised to not do that because it would not make sense for us to take on the increased amount of liability as an airport. So we're moving forward. We'll do everything else we can to assist that process. We're also in the process of developing a hypersonic corridor, working with the folks at China Lake, Edwards, Plant 42, and the folks from the Federal Aviation Administration. Currently, they're doing hypersonic operations out of Point Magoo, out over the Pacific. What we need to do is connect that corridor from Point Magoo to here in China Lake and Edwards. So we're working with the FAA on that as well. And, one of the questions that came up, or one of the decisions that had been made was, do you want something that's on a chart that says this is a hypersonic corridor? No, we don't want that. We would take that. But more importantly, we want the capability of conducting hypersonic operations. And the reason that's so important is because I'm thinking, based on all of our conversations, that this can be addressed with a small bit of an analysis and probably a letter of agreement with all the stakeholders that are involved. I think we'll be able to do that. I guess it'll be accomplished in the not too distant future. What's the floor of an airspace like that? Well, it depends on who you are. So everybody that I've talked to, with the exception of a couple, would like for the floor of that to be at 50,000 feet. There's a couple of users, though, that really need that to go down closer to 35 to 40. So we're going to get as much as we can. It's all going to depend. I think if the Department of Defense continues to be involved in it, I think we will get what is necessary to read on it.
Do we have an idea of the dimensions of the corridor? We're already.
So it's not going to be a corridor because, from the standpoint of a defined area, it's going to be more procedural in nature.
Okay.
That's the purpose of the letter of agreement. If you want, like to your point, if we did that, that would be take a lot longer, be a lot more drawn out.
I'm just wondering where it's physically going to be, right? Because we're under a MOA, so
it's physically going to be wherever they want it to be at the time of the operation.
Okay, so I guess
we're just cooperating essentially with we're participating in the definition of the procedural stuff too, because it's a virtual thing, right? It's not a thing.
Right, it's a virtual thing.
It's a piece of airspace that
will drop when they're doing a test.
Right, and that to your
How's that
airspace is
are
not.
super standard.
You're gonna have a piece of airspace. The airspace can be defined with geometry even, right? So that's it.
Yes, it can be.
Okay, so are we even like less ethereal than a space? It's just a concept?
So, no. So, like right now,
Mhm.
okay, give you another example. Like, our launch customers have a letter of agreement with FAA, Edwards Launch people, to conduct horizontal launch operations. What the letter of agreement is a set of procedures. This is what you do. This is the coordination that takes place in order to do that. It's not a defined piece of airspace, and that's where this is. It's not a defined piece of airspace. It's the procedures that you go through to conduct the operation.
Okay. Curious to see how it ends up because I'm still having a hard time conceptualizing. It's like, well, can I go through these procedures and do this in Pennsylvania? Well, no. All right. Do I go through these procedures and hit Nevada? Probably. So where, yeah. I look forward to seeing the implementation.
Yeah, we started out with the conversation very in depth last Friday in particular. We have Representative McCarthy's office on board, as well as members of the State Defense Committee. I don't look for this to be a long, drawn out issue, especially considering we have customers here that need this. So why are we calling it a little supersonic or I'm sorry, sir? Why aren't we just calling it a supersonic? Because it's hypersonic.
Is there a legal distinction there?
No, I'm saying hypersonic is a technical difference than supersonic. But anything above the speed of sound is supersonic. So it's also hypersonic. In other words, why do we distinguish that? Is this a political thing because there's a national defense need to focus on this kind of work?
Yeah, there's definitely a national. Yes.
I mean, is this
Because
a
our
political thing?
hypersonic, from a hypersonic standpoint, development, we're so far behind.
Why not just call it supersonic? If we're closing an airspace for it, the issue is there's going to be sonic booms.
Yes, it is.
Over land. That's really the issue.
So, in other words, you're saying 5 times the speed of sound is the same thing as just going 1 time the speed of sound.
Well, it isn't to the person doing it or the people doing the test, but to the uninvolved public, the people flying airliners at 30,000, the guys doing training in the MOA, they don't care. They just know that there's a special restriction today from noon to 3 for a test. It's supersonic. I guess what I'm saying is, why the emphasis on that? I mention that because we just had a briefing. If it's something of national security, something you don't want to draw attention and give it a name, you just call it supersonic.
There you go. Perfect idea. It's supersonic.
It's in a location.
Well, right now you can do hypersonic testing from Point of View. They do it, right? If we can close that gap, and that's the gap that everybody's good with, that's fine. But our work in that is not developing that geographic area so much as it is developing the procedures and coordination that you do. But I do agree with your point about once you're above the speed of sound, you're above the speed of sound.
I'm just surprised the FAA makes a distinction between air-breathing supersonic and air-breathing hypersonic, or rocket-propelled supersonic and rocket hypersonic. That just surprises me.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. Hyper sounds cool, though.
Right. Well, my point is, if it's being used for national defense, then you don't want to necessarily draw attention to it. You just restrict the airspace. You don't say what you're doing. And so I don't think you'd want to start having all kinds of public discussions, documents, exchanges about when and all that, and call it that. That's all I'm saying. It's very preliminary, so I'm saying it now because I don't think it's the first, but it seems in the effort of counter intelligence, you don't advertise your cutting edge, state of the art test area.
I agree with what you're saying. I don't think we should do it.
I think we just throw our hands up and say, go.
No, you're missing my point. I'm just saying, did you know, I'm trying to understand why they emphasized one label over the other, because it is the cutting edge versus supersonic. I mean, there's a lot of things that go supersonic. The F-18s, F-16s, whatever. I mean, they do that for training. And it's not of interest to national security things.
Right.
But the other one might be rockets, vehicles, whatever, that are going really fast. I don't know why the FAA is probably, out of ignorance, maybe not addressing a security concern.
Well, and like, why do you want to bring attention to it?
You mean, why am I doing it right now?
No.
Because I was reluctant a little bit. I'm like, well, all I'm doing is drawing attention in a public meeting. But my point is, this is preliminary, and ultimate. I'm saying, hey, if anyone else is listening, maybe they stop calling it that in the future whenever it gets developed. You don't advertise where it is or when it is, That would be better. The people who need to know will know, and they will benefit from the availability of that resource.
That's the only person that needs to know.
Exactly.
Right.
All right.
Dare I say, are there any questions?
Well, property rented. We got one more.
Okay, so Virgin Galactic has extended several of their leases. These are the latest, and we're currently extending other leases they have as well. They're getting ready to make some improvements to the Faith hangar that will be included and reflected in this as well in the future. Thank you.
No, I'm thank you for putting a barbecue on the calendar. Do appreciate it. I think we're due for one, so thanks.
We don't need barbecue.
Right, do we have any other comments or sarcastic remarks from the board or from members of the public? Nope. Okay. So we don't have any standing board committees. I don't think we have a need to stand anyone up. So now we're at the portion of the meeting, or anyone on board, anything not on the agenda? Comments? Nope. Any public comment on items not on the agenda? Nope. Okay, we already did closed session. There's no closed session report. So we're ready to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have fun at Oshkosh, for those it's relevant to.
Recording stopped.